Servants of SAVA by Thunderhawk. Chapter 1. The Psychopomp. Within the wastes of the post-world rode a gang of leather-strapped nomads, the Dragon's Angels. On motorcycles and war rigs, they were equipped to not only buck the engulfing madness that had long consumed the world, but also look damn good doing so, too. The locale they found themselves in this time was nothing short of ridiculous. Trees shaped like human legs towering out of the earth, laden with charcoal bark and neon sap. Like any other vagabond tribe of the post-world, the Angels would travel through inscrutable tides of anti-landscape on a regular basis. This forest of legs was strange, to be sure, but nothing truly out of the ordinary. What was of interest, however, was what laid within this jungle of limbs, a smattering of intact old-world ruins. The gang lord, known simply as Spread Eagle, signaled for his angels to make a stop. This was bound to be a sweet haul. "Pair up, fuckers, we're going in." Spread Eagle was an obelisk of a man, drowning in tattoos with the mohawk of an exotic bird and a fiery black beard to match. Though his temper was crude, he was still the big uncle of the clan. He had to give a shit, even on the days when he absolutely didn't want to. Cody Roscoe, one of the younger boys of the group, felt nervous. He was just 15, a scrawny boy with sharp blonde hair. He was still getting used to actually being on the search team. He'd spent his youth stuck back with the vehicles under the supervision of the adults, like the rest of the kids. Now he had to be prepared for real action. It was still jarring to him. "Hey, Jason, you want to group up again?" Cody said to his closest friend in the gang. "Only if you don't act like a baby this time." Jason was a greasy boy with sad black hair, a little older than Cody. "I almost died." "You kidding? That ride was only like half your size. You could have taken it." "It was half my size. That was the problem. Rats aren't supposed to be half the size of anyone." "I've seen bigger. Face it, Cody. You're a little bit of a wimp." "Okay, whatever." Cody crossed his arms. "So are we a team or what?" "Yeah, man, I was just pulling your leg." Jason gave Cody a pat on the back. "Now, do you have your machete ready?" "Of course." "Nice. Let's head out." Like every other team, the two began their exploration of the post-apocalyptic remains. It seemed as though they'd found the remains of some old town by the name of Blackbark. It looked to be a quaint little place, brought to decay by erosion and some sort of strange, fleshy overgrowth. Still, an entire town almost completely intact was a major find in the post-world. There was a lot to dig into. "Hey, over there!" The pair had found an old radio store, still brimming with CDs and audio equipment. "What is all this?" Cody inquired as they stepped into the shop. "I think this is all music." Jason pulled out a CD. "You know those electric disc players from the old world?" "Yeah? You think this is all old world music? How'd they make so much of it?" "A lot of time on their hands, I guess. That's what you get when you don't have warlords and monsters wreaking havoc all over the place." "That's probably true. You think they have a disc player in here?" "Oh, for sure." Jason began to scrounge through the back room. "Yeah, here we go." He brought out a half-sized boombox from the back. "Hell yeah! You think it still works?" "Well, grab a disc, let's see." Cody perused the store and eventually found an album named Burn in Heaven by some band called Spiked Lightning. The front cover depicted an absurdly jacked demon in all black, terrorizing angels and a lightning-filled sky. Cody thought that it looked fucking awesome, so he grabbed it and immediately took it over. "Now that looks sick. Here, let me pop it in." Jason slotted the CD into the boombox and pressed play. The little lights on the front flickered to life, and the contents of the album began. Immediately, the two were blasted with a magnitude of heavy metal awesomeness they'd never experienced before. The thundering of drums, the roaring of the bass, and the screaming of the guitar, it all danced through their bones like electrifying nectar. Before they knew it, they were both up on their feet and hoofing along to the rhythm. "Dude, this shit rocks!" "Hell yeah, it does!" Cody looked over at Jason. He was slamming his head through the air like crazy. This was it. This was what kept Cody alive. The kind of adrenaline-filled moment that you hope to see every time you get out of bed in the morning. To have this kind of sick-ass moment with Jason at his side, that was everything Cody needed to keep himself going. In the corner of his eye, however, Cody saw something else. From outside the window, a massive figure with a body of chunky red meat was staring in at them, stalking them like a hungry animal. Holy shit! Cody pulled out his machete. What? Glass shattered onto the floor as the enormous meat man dove into the radio store. What the hell is that? Jason pulled out his aluminum baseball bat. The fleshy figure came bounding towards Cody. With a decisive swing, Cody brought his machete to its neck. What looked to be its head tumbled onto the floor as Cody cleaved through with the blade. It was decapitated, but its body was still standing. Tendrils of flesh began to sprout up from its neck, and within seconds, it had grown a new head as a replacement. Jason whacked it with his bat, knocking it into a rack of CDs. Instinctively, the two ran. Outside, they came out into the street only to find giant bulbs of fatty tissue all around them, now giving birth to their own sopping red meat men. Nearly a dozen of the humanoid abominations emerged around the duo, headed directly towards them. One of them lunged at Jason. Cody pulled out his emergency revolver and blasted the monster's face off. This way! Cody pointed to an open alley. The two ran like hell. Passing between two massive buildings, suddenly a dumpster crashed open in front of them. 3 more meat men scrambled out, coming at them. They ran the other way, but the mob had followed them. They were surrounded on both sides, with fleshy monsters coming at them from all angles. They readied their weapons, but that wouldn't be enough. There were too many. They were done for. Suddenly, the trio of creatures in front of them were flung to the side, smashing against a brick-laden wall. The two's massive gang lord, Spread Eagle, was there, wielding his enormous battle axe. Come on, we're going back to the cars. The two boys followed him out of the alley. Quickly, they made it out of town and arrived back at where their gang had parked. Is everyone accounted for? Spread Eagle began counting heads. It seemed as though everyone was able to make it back unharmed. All right, these things can heal back whatever we dish out. We're not equipped to deal with that. We can come back another day if we can get something prepared, but for now, let's head out. There's too much risk in trying to loot this place right now. It was clear that some of the gang members were disappointed, but that was their leader's decision. They all hopped back on their bikes and their war machines and moved on from Black Bark. They would come back to loot the town some other day. Jason looked over at Cody as they sat in the back of one of the gang's jeeps. Cody was looking bummed. Look what I was able to snag. Cody looked up to see Jason holding the CD for Spiked Lightning's Burn in Heaven. Oh, hell yeah! If we can find another disc player somewhere, we can rock like hell as much as we want. That's what I'm saying, Jason said, and the Dragon's Angels rode off into the horizon. Several hours later, the Angels came upon a trade outpost by the name of Silver Dune. It was situated against an oasis of glittering white sand. This was their usual routine. They would spend the day traveling, scavenging the wastes and such, and then either set up camp themselves or camp at an outpost where they could sell their wares for food and gas. As was to be expected, there were many Guzzalo herders operating out of this nice little highway town. Guzzalos were a type of post-world cow that could produce gasoline instead of milk. They all had tubes of cartilage protruding off their backs that were constantly pumping out smoky fumes like fleshy, biological smokestacks. The Guzzalo was a great source of both fuel and protein. Generations back, the Dragon's Angels, like most nomads at the time, were herders as well. But as more and more of the wasteland became settled in and domesticated, they found scavenging ruins and selling their loot off to merchants to be a more efficient way of living. There was just more infrastructure for a division of labor now than there used to be. Let me see what you got. A local was talking to Spread Eagle as the gang began to unload their belongings. Well, what are you looking for? We got pretty much a little bit of everything. The man, a little portly and a bit scruffy looking, peered around, eyeing the rest of the gang. You got any, hitchhikers? Hitchhikers.
Yeah, well, not like, you know what I mean.
I don't think I do.
Like workers.
You mean slaves?
No, no.
We're not slave drivers, dipshit. Now get the hell out of here before I teach you to never ask that shit again.
Look, you put words in my mouth. I didn't.
Spread Eagle decked him in the face. I said get the hell out of here, dumbass!
Okay.
The man's nose spilled with blood as he hurried off. What a fucking tool, Spread Eagle said to himself. Hopefully the whole outpost wasn't going to be like that guy. Spread Eagle only liked to sell to people with some actual goddamn human decency, and if this outpost was a bust, then there was going to have to be a lot more broken noses than just his. Spread Eagle kind of chuckled to himself over the idea of an entire town of assholes with broken noses. That might just have to happen one of these days, but hopefully not tonight.
Jason?
Cody called out. Where the hell had he gone? Over here! Jason emerged from the trading stalls, now missing his leather jacket.
Where'd your jacket go?
I traded in for this. Jason pulled out a small, handheld CD player. Check it.
You're not supposed to do that, Jason. We have like a dress code, man. You know this. The whole gang's gonna be pissed.
Well, let him be pissed then. I've been chewed out before. I'll be fine. Besides, now we can listen to more of that sick-ass album. Cody paused for a moment.
That was some pretty badass music, but don't say you didn't say nothing.
Yeah, man, yeah, of course. Now come over here, let's listen to this. The player came with these. Jason pulled out a pair of earbuds. We can share them. They're not super long, though. Cody put in one of the earbuds. They had to sit right next to each other to keep the buds from falling out. Jason pressed play, and the heavy metal magic began to flow once again. Soon enough, Cody moved over and rested his chin on Jason's shoulder. This right here was a truly perfect moment, just like before, and it was absolutely fucking awesome. Hours later, as an icy blue sun began to set across the evening sky, the dragons, angels, and everyone else in Silverdune began packing up for the night. It turned out that most people at the outpost were actually pretty cool, and the angels were able to do some good shopping and selling. They sold off all sorts of trinkets, weapons, and old world artifacts, and also managed to pick up a total motherload of gasoline and ammunition. After a long day of travel and trade, however, it was now time to have dinner and settle in. The angels' resident cooks put together a big, piping hot pot of fat belly stew for the night. As Cody sipped up a spoonful from his bowl, he could see Jason getting his licks from the other members of the gang and laughed to himself a little bit. It was a nice evening. Well, it should have been at least. This late in the day, the outpost wasn't expecting any more visitors, but they were sorely mistaken. A large band of people were about to make an abrupt entrance. They weren't on the hunt for trade, though. This was a division of the highly esteemed and glorious Adventurers Guild of Neolympia. They were on a righteous and holy quest to tame the Outlands and purge the post-world of its disgusting sin. They weren't looking for barter. They were looking for bodies. Banners of blue and gold thrust up from far-off dunes of sparkling sand as a crusade of garish cowboys came marauding over the horizon. This would be a bloodbath. At first, there was screaming. Then, there were gunshots. Spread Eagle grabbed his axe and a shotgun. The rest of the angels readied their weapons. Smoke rose up from the outpost. The bloodthirsty raiders ran havoc through houses, tents, and merchant stalls. Blood was spraying. Bullets were flying. Death was upon them. The dragon's angels arrived, clad in leather and armed with a killer instinct. The head of Spread Eagle's axe slipped through Neolympian necks, and in between he blew through torsos with fat slugs of shotgun iron. A raider fired a round that nicked Spread Eagle's shoulder. Spread Eagle responded by launching his axe through the man's skull. Another raider came up behind him with a spiked club. Spread Eagle punched his teeth out and put the club through his stomach. More raiders emerged to his left. There was a complete swarm of these guys. It was just never-ending. "Oh, we need to go and help." Jason was dripping sweat with a revolver at the ready. They were still back at the war rigs with some of the other gang members.
Spread Eagle told us to stay back. We need to stay put.
Jason looked towards the rest of the outpost.
They're screaming, man. It's gonna be okay, Jason.
No, screw this. I'm going in there.
Jason, wait!
Jason was already out of the truck and running over to the scene. Cody grabbed a pistol. He had no other choice but to chase after Jason. Fuck you! Spread Eagle screamed as he ripped through his dozenth opponent. There were just so many of those bastards. He blew a shotgun shell through a man's head and slammed the lights out of another against the hood of a Jeep. His vision was filled entirely with blue and gold. There were probably even more raiders here than there were townsfolk. Spread Eagle stomped out a raider's knee and broke his jaw with a headbutt. It didn't matter. He was in it now. Right now, he was no man. Right now, he was no mortal. Right now, all Spread Eagle could be was an angel of death. A giant figure emerged before him, emblazoned with the colors of Neo-Olympia. It had the head of a horse and the body of a man, with a stature over 7 feet tall. It charged at Spread Eagle with a claymore sword. Spread Eagle fired a shell into the beast, but the creature shrugged it off. It swung its enormous blade. Spread Eagle barely dodged out of the way and plunged a dagger into its stomach. The horse-headed man didn't even flinch. It swung again, this time more decisively. Spread Eagle didn't even realize what had happened until his right arm was already on the ground. His brain was so flooded with adrenaline, he couldn't even feel it. Spread Eagle tackled the beast. He laid into its bizarre horse-headed face with punch after punch after punch after punch after punch until it threw him off itself. Spread Eagle's body crashed through a wooden support beam. The contents of the building ceiling began to spill out into the ground below. Spread Eagle narrowly crawled from the falling debris and came to his feet in a dizzying haze. As his vision cleared, he saw the beast in front of him. The horseman rammed its boot into his face. A few of his teeth tumbled out into the ground in a bloody mess. The beast punched into his gut. Spread Eagle vomited blood onto the ground. He looked up at the horse-headed man, while now just barely conscious. If you're gonna kill me, then do it, motherfucker! The horse-headed man squinted its eyes and let out a snorting huff before raising its claymore back into position. In a single sweeping motion, the blade sliced through one side of Spread Eagle's body and out through the other, cleaving him in half.
Oh my God!
Coney looked at the carnage. A parade of flesh and viscera now lined the disparate streets of the outpost. The smell was nauseating. Over there! Jason aimed his revolver and fired around. A Neo-Olympian raider fell dead to the ground.
Oh God, oh God, oh God!
This way, Cody. I think I hear something.
Jason, we need to go back.
Jason continued forward. They saw a building, half caved in, and beside it, their gang lord, Spread Eagle, now dead in 2 pieces. They... No! Jason rushed over to the body.
We need to go back, Jason!
Cody put his hand over his eyes as he began to well up.
We need to go back to the cars.
They
killed him! They killed Spread Eagle! We need to go back! We're gonna die!
Jason came over and slapped Cody across the face. Cody recoiled in shock. Man the fuck up, Cody! Stop being such a pussy! We are gonna kill those fucking pieces of shit. Come on! Cody had never once seen such primal fury out of his best friend before. It was haunting.
Okay.
Cody wiped his eyes, mustering up every ounce of courage he had.
Okay.
All right. Let's fuck him up. Hell yeah. Back at the war rigs, the Neo-Olympians had found the rest of the gang. Those who'd stayed behind were mostly kids, and a few adults left behind to keep them safe. Surrender or you're all dead, a cowboy yelled at those tucked away in the vehicles. A shot rang out. The cowboy fell to the ground. It wasn't clear that it was done by one of the angels, but The mob of Neo-Olympian crusaders surrounding the area knew what they thought. They began to rush the war rigs. Engines fired up. The adults were going to try and drive off, but the Neo-Olympians had rigs of their own. It turned into a chase. Rounds of ammunition came banging across trucks and battle buggies. A horde of Angels' vehicles running from a horde of Neo-Olympian battle rigs. There wasn't anywhere to go. This outpost was just in the middle of nowhere, and the gang's rigs were filled with kids. The blast of a shotgun blew through one of the gang's tires. A mounted flamethrower scorched across another. This was dire. Everything was falling apart all at once. An armor-piercing Gatling gun shredded through the siding of a truck. A rocket blasted through one of the gang's jeeps. It was but a brief, chaotic skirmish before every war rig of the Dragon's Angels, along with the men, women, and many children therein, were sent to oblivion. "I think that guy's the leader," Jason said to Cody while peering around a corner. The man in his sights had a big fancy mustache and a bright white sheriff's outfit. He was talking to other Neo-Olympian guild members with the bodies of angels at his feet. "We need to get closer. Come on, this way." Cody, still quivering with stress, followed closely behind Jason as they both shifted alleyway by alleyway, inching closer to the scene. After a moment, the sheriff-looking man was now just across the road. "I have a good shot. I need to make this count." Jason breathed in and out. This was his chance to give these fuckers what they deserve. He concentrated his entire being into this single moment. 3, 2, 1. Jason popped out from the alley and fired a hot ball of iron at the leader. The shot, though admirable, was just slightly off, knocking the leader's hat off the top of his head. In an instant, Jason's target pulled his own gun and blew a hole through Jason's thigh. Muscle and fat splattered across the ground. Cody quickly grabbed Jason and pulled him out of the way. "Fuck! Shit! Go on and get him, you morons!" They heard a distant voice ordering the other men to chase after them. His blood pumping like thunder, Cody hoisted Jason up and dragged him as fast as he could. The stomping of leather boots came hounding after them. Cody fired a few rounds back to try and at least scare the pursuers. Around a corner and into a road, Cody threw Jason under the front porch of some saloon and scrambled under there to hide. "Oh, God! Oh, God!" Jason was breathing erratically. "Oh, fuck! I think it hit an artery. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay." Cody shimmied off his belt. "Bite down on this. We need to be quiet." Jason bit down on the leather belt and squeezed out tears of pain. Cody could see Boots passing by outside. His chest was tight with a hot freeze of fear. "Where the hell did he go?" Cody heard one of them say. They slowed down and looked around the area. Cody's thoughts were screaming for them to leave. He just needed them out of there and he could escape with Jason. The intensity was enough to make Cody feel like his head was going to explode. "Just leave already, you bastards! Leave! Leave! Leave!" Eventually, after a few seconds of searching, what felt like an eternity to Cody, the men finally moved on. Cody breathed a sigh of relief. "Thank God. They're gone." Cody looked at Jason. "How you holding up, man?" Jason didn't look back at Cody. His eyes were just set forward. "Jason?" No response. Cody shook him a little bit. "Jason?" No response. "Jason, come on." The belt fell out of Jason's mouth. No breath came out. "No. Jason. No." Cody checked his pulse. There was nothing there. Jason was dead. Oh, fuck. No. Cody could feel an abyss welling up inside his throat. He was choking on it. It felt like he was about to throw up. A few tears fell from his eyes as every fiber of his body became tense. The feeling was indescribable, like he could just die right here and now. "Wait, I think I see someone under there!" Cody was suddenly pulled out from under the porch by his ankle. No! Cody screamed. He was surrounded by Neo-Olympian raiders. He thrashed around, shrieking like a captured animal. He's a feisty one! One of the cowboys beat his foot into Cody's stomach, knocking the wind out of him, while the others grabbed his wrists and tied him up. You're ours now, Outlander scum, one of them snarled before planting Cody's skull into the dirt with his boot. How many casualties? Captain Greeley was saying to his subordinate. 56 and counting, sir. Good Lord. Those degenerates in the leather jackets. Where the hell they'd even come from? Well, you don't know, sir. Maybe they were just passing by. The scout report said that. I know what the scout report said, Jeremiah. This is supposed to be a clean job. Greeley put a palm to his temple. All these bodies. And for what? A single kid? He was the only survivor. The townsfolk got caught in the crossfire. This might be the worst massacre I've seen in all my years. What about the horse? How'd he do? Nearly 20 confirmed kills, sir. We believe he took out the gang lord of this Dragon's Angels group. You're saying this would have been worse if we didn't have him with us? I believe that can be inferred, yes. Then maybe it wasn't such a mistake to let that thing out of his cage. We'll have to reevaluate his place in guild operations going forward. But first, I'm going to go have a talk with this boy of ours. He needs to know what kind of wrath his little gang just invoked on his sorry ass. Cody's vision was hazy as he began to slowly regain consciousness. Hey, wake up, boy. Captain Greeley smacked him across the face. Cody spit out a pitiful grunt as he flashed fully awake. He realized that he was tied to a wooden post inside some sort of large, musty tent. Before him was that same sheriff-looking man in all white. You're the only one left, boy. What? Cody was confused and sore. Your whole gang, and all the townsfolk, too. They're all dead. No. Yeah, and it's the fault of your little gang. This was supposed to be a clean raid. Get in, make a few examples, and bag everyone else. But because of the little stunt you and your buddies pulled tonight, hundreds are dead. You know how many good men lost their lives because of you, you degenerate piece of trash? Too many! Fuck you, asshole. Shut your mouth! Greeley punched Cody in the face. A spat of blood shot out of Cody's mouth. Listen to me, you rat. I'm gonna personally see to it that you get put in the dirtiest, brutalest field we have. They're gonna work you like a dog, and you're gonna deserve every second of it. For the rest of your life, you'll never be able to sit back and relax again. From dusk till dawn, until your hands are bleeding and your bones are broken. You will be a tool for Neo-Olympia. 1,000 lifetimes of labor wouldn't be enough to make up for what you and your gang are responsible for. Be grateful that you're mortal. What incorrigible pieces of heathen scum like you deserve goes beyond death. With that, Captain Greeley spat in Cody's face and walked off. Cody sat there, crying. Everything was gone. Cody. It's not over, Cody. You are not alone. Cody looked up to see that he was no longer in that tent, no longer tied up, no longer bloodied and bruised. He was naked, engulfed in a deep red void like a baby in the womb. It felt warm. Before him stood a figure, neither man nor woman, adorned only in a cape of shadowy branches and a mounting crown sprouting from their forehead. They were like both a tender mother and a haunting demon, all at the same time. Where am I? I could hear your soul calling to me, Cody. You are one of the few born to receive my gifts.
Who are you? What is this place?
I am SAVA. This is my realm. It is beyond material reality.
SAVA? No, this is a dream.
Yes, you've heard my name before. Many have at this point. But I can assure you, this is no dream.
What do you want? Why you brought me here?
Cody's entire being was confused and broken. He didn't know what to think anymore. In your darkest hour, you have summoned me, like so many before you. It is time for you to receive your gift, if you are willing to prove that you really want it, that is.
What do you mean? What is it?
As of now, it seems you are lost. You have nothing. You can see no path forward, no future for the boy Cody Roscoe. But perhaps I can help you. Suddenly appearing in Sava's hand was what looked like a human eye, but with an ornate golden coin instead of an iris. If you so wish, I can give you a new eye, a psychopompous eye, one that can help you see new avenues and perspectives, an eye that can see things that others never will. It comes with a cost, however.
A cost?
An eye for an eye, Cody. Your left for a new right. Once we make this pact, you will be born anew. Show me that you can be devoted to this new life by giving to me something that cannot be returned. Cody thought for a moment. Tears were still streaming down his face. Jason was gone. Spread Eagle was gone. The gang was gone. Everything. His entire life was snuffed out in a single evening. Where did he have to go? To be some slave for the pieces of shit who killed his family? No. He wouldn't stand for it. What other choice did he have? He had to take the deal.
I accept your offer.
Thank you. I'm so proud of you, Cody. Sava came up to Cody, just inches away. Are you ready?
Yes.
Good. Sava's jaw opened up to reveal a black, snake-like tongue. Before Cody could react, Sava leaned in, their tongue coiling around Cody's left eye like some kind of eldritch tentacle. Cody screamed as his eye came ripped out by the root. He was trembling, paralyzed, and then the pain disappeared, and he found himself back in the tent. His wrists were now free, and his left eye was gone. Cody looked down into his hands. He could see everything. Every vein, every nerve, every cell, and every virus, every molecule of his body. He knew exactly how they were arranged and divided. He looked to his side and saw a rat. He could see every string of muscle, every drop of blood, every neuron firing within the tiny animal. He could sense its every twitch with microscopic precision. With a glance, he now had the power to see and understand every iota of a living creature's body. It felt euphoric. Cody peered outside of the tent and saw a smattering of Neo-Olympians all about in the surrounding war camp. He could see into their bodies and sense their movements as if they were his own. It was truly beautiful. He snuck out, looking for prey. Eventually, he came across a lone cowboy lacing up his boots. Cody approached from behind and picked up a rock. If he went for the skull, the cowboy's hat might throw off the blow. Cody could see the top of the man's spine through his neck. If he beat the rock into just the right spot, he could paralyze the man from the neck down before finishing him off. Cody brought down the rock with perfect precision, severing the man's spinal cord. The cowboy, in shock, fell limp. Before he could scream, Cody brought down the rock again to the base of the man's skull and through the brain stem, killing him instantly. It was a perfect kill, executed flawlessly. Cody took the man's revolver. A shot rang out. Confusion struck the war camp. A bullet through the throat, another shot. A bullet through the skull, another shot. A bullet through the heart. Each was fatal. Each was instant. Neo-Olympian guildsmen scrambled to figure out what was going on. Cody got his hands on a shotgun. 1 man down, 2 men down, 3 men down. Cody could see a tapestry of brilliant biological trigonometry. His shots were perfect in angle, perfect in precision, perfect in fatality. They would all die. They would all pay. Tents were set ablaze. War rig engines were blown out. The massacre wasn't over. It was just beginning. The horse-headed man, sword in hand, came stampeding through the camp. What the hell was going on? Who was doing this? The beast looked around. There were only bodies. Suddenly, it felt a splash of liquid against its back. It spun around. There stood Cody, a gas can in one hand and a lighter in the other. This thing had tough skin. A bullet wouldn't do, but an inferno certainly would.
Goodbye, horsey.
Cody gave a sinister smile before turning the horse-headed man into a bonfire. Captain Greeley sank with panic. Everything was going to shit like a whirlwind in the night. A twilight moon shone down above him. The ground was soaked with blood. Pistol in hand, he examined the landscape of death before him. So many corpses. So many more of his men were dead. What the hell was even happening?
Hey there!
Greeley turned around at the sound of a sadistic voice behind him. There stood Cody, nearly 50 feet away. He dropped the severed head of one of Greeley's men onto the ground and pointed his revolver forward. Quickly, Greeley fired a shot at Cody. Cody could see the exact angle of the shot with his Psychopomp's eye. He moved his head a few millimeters to the side, dodging the bullet by a hair, then fired his own shot. This one didn't miss. Cody couldn't miss, not anymore, and he had exactly what he was aiming for. The bullet collapsed through Greeley's femoral artery. His thigh spilled with blood as he fell to the ground. Cody approached slowly. You fucker! Greeley, down on the ground, pointed his gun in a desperate attempt to fire back. Cody took another shot, blasting the pistol out of Greeley's hand.
How does it feel?
Cody stood over Greeley, smiling like a hyena.
This is what you did to him. You shot him in the leg. My Jason. My precious, wonderful Jason. You were supposed to spend the rest of our lives together. And you took that from me.
I should have killed you when I had the chance.
Yeah, no shit, jackass.
Cody stomped his foot into Greeley's bullet wound. He let out a howl of nauseating misery. Cody's smile widened. Such pathetic final moments. It was enough to make him laugh. You outlander scum. A few last words pittered out from Greeley's lips before he finally lost consciousness and eventually died from blood loss.
See you in hell, dumbass.
Cody spit on his corpse. After picking off a select few final stragglers, Cody had done it. An entire division of the Adventurers Guild of Neo-Olympia, or what was left of it, now completely destroyed. He was now the one and only survivor of the Silver Dune Massacre. Searching through all of the valuables stolen by the Neo-Olympians, Cody found his only souvenir, that CD player with the same Burn in Heaven CD still inside. He took it and sat down among the carnage. Looking up at the stars, Cody pressed play. This was another one of those moments, those special moments, the ones that get you up in the morning. Cody had lost everything. He'd been plunged into a dark chasm of emptiness. But now he had a new reason to keep on going. It was so beautiful, seeing every twitch and spurt, every tiny spasm of agony in these men as they died. Hurting people was so much fun. Killing people was so much fun. He knew that now. He knew his new and terrible purpose. He had been reborn to be an agent of violence, of destruction, of death. That was the new him. That was the Psychopomp, Cody Roscoe.